the one and only sexy mama, LaDonna Raeh.
LaDonna Raeh Show. That's right. It's the LaDonna Raeh Show, and I want to thank you all for joining us today. Wow, it's a little cold outside, but it's warm up in here. Because up next, we are interviewing a Chicago native. We claim them no matter what surrounding suburbs they have been in. But you know, Chicagoland is a big territory. But because the LaDonna Raeh Show involves content creators from all over the world, it's always close to our hearts when someone is from and within the Chicagoland area. I'm LaDonna Raeh, and I look forward to talking to you guys with my special guest that's up next. We're talking about actor Ryan Banks, who joins us live from wherever he is. Hopefully it's somewhere warm, right here on the LaDonna Raeh Show. Ryan, good morning.
Good morning, LaDonna. How you doing today?
I'm doing swell-tastic and amazing, especially since I am across from you digitally. How are
That's
you?
good to hear.
How are you navigating in these winter months?
I'm just keeping busy, keeping moving. You got to keep grinding, and I think that's what keep me warm anyway. I'm pretty much used to it. I've been dealing with this type of weather my whole life, so
I get it. I get it all the time. But I wanted to open up with just taking us through your journey. But there's a sense of warm and credibility that comes with you because I went on your IMDb, and that's huge. A lot of people they don't think about how important something like IMDb, Wikipedia, and Google are.
that's
But
true.
you actually do this stuff for real. So you Chicago native, Harvey raised, actor, athlete, working man turned creative. What did that look like for you?
For me, it looked like a bunch of different processes. First, I started off where I just wanted to experiment. I was walking down the street, funny story, one day, and they were shooting a shot, and I didn't have any idea what was going on. And I'm like, oh, whoa, what's this? So one of the workers there, one of the crew members actually, he said, hey, man, you ever been in a movie? And I was like, nah. He's like, go sign up on 4 Star. So I'm like, okay, cool. So, I procrastinated for 2 years. I'm like, nah. And then one day I was going through something where I just had surgery and I was like recovering, and I was at this end point in my recovery. So I started looking around online and I saw something for background in the film. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't you give that a try? And I kind of like self doubted myself for a minute, going back and forth. And I'm like, look, man, go for it. If that's what you want, do it. So I signed up. Fortunately, I got picked and I went out and we did it, and it was just the best time I ever had. I met a bunch of great people while I was on set, and I got a lot of great advice and networking, and just talking to different people while I was there, asking me, have I been on different shows and things like that, and telling me, giving me advice of where I should go. So
There's nothing like being picked, especially when you are one of many.
that's true.
You could
Yeah,
have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to be right there in that moment.
yeah.
How does it feel being back home talking to Chicago? And before you answer that, I want to let everybody know that you can put comments live in the chat and we will see them. So go ahead and drop your comments, show your support for Ryan Banks, because as a matter of fact, we got Banks in our family. I don't know, we might be related.
We might be.
You never know. The
Real
plantations are
talk.
real and wide.
They
But
really are.
you guys can drop comments in the chat, and let us know what you think and how you have supported Ryan on his journey. And let us know if you have any questions that he can answer. But how does it feel being back home talking to Chicago?
It felt great, just to be here and try to motivate the youth is really what drives me because I know when I was growing up, I always had some kind of a mentorship or somebody that was in my life to remind me that all hard work pays off. So it feels good to be back here, especially now that I'm able to reach out to more people and do more work in my hometown. I felt really proud about working with local artists, local directors, a lot of local producers doing work here in my hometown makes me feel um, really complete, you know. So it's an overwhelming feeling. It's a surreal feeling, and it's just like living a dream come true.
Oh, you know, when people say something like that, living the dream, I don't think people really understand that because you can
Yeah.
dream big and actually be living the dream. I
Mhm.
too understand how that feels. Being in radio, radio has always been a dream of mine, and
Mhm.
I've been in and out of it, but now I feel like I'm there to stay. So, with
That's
that
right.
being said, being able to break in and be in the right place at the right time, it doesn't always happen that way.
No.
So what is who is Ryan Banks before Ryan Banks with the credits and growing up in Harvey? I understand that. We hear about Harvey today in 2025. And how does that make you feel when you hear the progress or lack thereof when it comes to Harvey, Illinois?
You know, growing up in Harvey was a challenge, but it was also a blessing. You know, like I think a lot of people get the misconception about Harvey, and they see the news and they see a lot of this stuff, and they say, "Oh, it's such a bad place." And you know, really, they could be doing a lot better, but so could a lot of other places. You know, I think coming up from Harvey made me stronger. It was one of those towns where like everybody treated everybody like family back in the day. You know, so it was like my family knew their family, and you know, they would invite you over for dinner, and you was just one of them. You know, like my grandmother had 13 kids, so they used to tell me stories about, you know, they friends would come over for dinner. Now it's 20 people, and I'm like, wow, like I don't know how granddaddy did that. You feel me?
Mm,
Because I got a
right.
hard enough time keeping my refrigerator full these days. But no,
Yeah.
um, yeah, just coming up from there, I was taught hard work, dedication. When I was like 2 or 3 years old, I would be going out with my granddad, you know, raking the yard and mowing the lawn. By the time I was 5 or 6, I was riding around with him. He had a pickup truck, and I'll never forget this. And we would go picking up different trash in the alley. And I said, "Granddad, why are we picking up the garbage out the alley?" He said, "Because this ain't garbage. It's still brand
Mm.
new." He said, "There's something we can do with that." So we would take everything, put it in the back of his truck. Then we go to a scrap yard, and then he could make his money and give me $100, and he'd be like, and I'd be like, "Whoa, you know, like." He said, "This is how you make your little extra money." So ever since I was young, I was taught to work hard for what you want. And that's what I really do appreciate about coming where I do come from. Now, on the other side, I seen a lot of bad things when I was growing up. You know, my father was murdered at the age of 6. And, you know, a lot of my friends died, you know, went to jail, stuff like that. So for me, it was like, you know, I always knew that God made a way for us, you know, like my family
Yeah.
never, you know, it was never too hard for us, you know, like on both sides, everybody was there fortunately. So, you know, growing up after that, I ended up moving out to the suburbs when I turned 11. And then I went to Buffalo Grove High School where I went to play basketball, football, and ran track.
Wow, you've done it all. It's like, and you mentioned that you learned how to do a lot of different things with your
Hmm.
grandfather. But you've had a lot of jobs like painter, carpenter,
Yeah.
hospitality, warehouse.
Hmm.
And what did that grind teach you about patience and purpose?
Uh, It told me a lot, you know. It told me that you can't never expect for anybody to just hand you anything, and that you have to work hard for what you want. And it takes time sometimes. It's not going to just happen overnight, but you have to be committed, dedicated, persistent, and eventually something going to break through for you, you know. I went through a point of period where I've worked every single type of job you can imagine. When I was 13, I started at McDonald's, and I told my mom, I said, "Mom, I'm gonna earn a paycheck. You ain't never got to give me allowance," you know. And I felt proud of that. I said, "You dedicated and sacrificed your whole life for us, so I don't want nothing from you." I said, "I want to buy you a house one day when I get older." So from that
Do
point,
you think these youngins,
mhm,
these young men feel that way now? Do you think they still have
no,
that drive to sew back in with their parents?
um, they don't. Unfortunately, it's a disconnect.
Yeah.
I feel like parents these days more want to be their kids' friend, you know, and that's fine and dandy also. But like when I was growing up, my parents would let you know, look, I ain't your friend. You know, I'm your
Right.
mama, I'm your daddy. You're gonna listen, you're gonna have some respect. But just this whole new generation going 20 years plus further, I feel like more of these kids are getting into the streets, getting into drugs, and then their parents ain't really there to force any guidelines in their life. So they feel like they have no other choice. And for me coming up when I was younger, I could kind of see where they're coming from when you're stuck in a bad neighborhood that has no jobs, that has no hope, that has, not a lot of inspiration.
Lack
It's
of
very hard.
resources.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
a
lack of
lack of
resources.
resources, a lack of resources. So it's very hard. But at the same time, you have to dig inside of you. You have to find what inspires you. You have to go to other places to make things happen. And I don't see a lot of these kids doing it these days. They want to sit
Unless
back.
unless they do these smashing, and I don't want to
Yeah.
highlight the smash and grabs, but they seem to be getting together on
Hmm.
social media to leave the
Right.
neighborhood but not to do good when they leave the
Exactly.
neighborhood. So
Yeah.
with that being said, we got a lot of work to do when it comes
Oh
to
yeah.
being an example to our young people. I'm not going to give up on them. you
No,
know
most
it's
definitely
it's
not.
it's so easy to say, well, you know what, some people
Yeah.
have even said the next generation just has to die. And I
No.
think that's a very final resolve, and it's not even a resolution because there's going
No.
to be a generation after that. When did acting shift from an idea to, wow, I am really doing
Mhm.
this?
So, like I said, I was doing the background work, and I got picked to be a core member of a TV series called Deli Boys. So when I got there, it would just hit me sometimes because my call time would be like 5 in the morning, and I'm walking through the building and I'm looking around and I see the stage and it said The Shine, and I was like, whoa, like like this is it, like So then it
Wait, so
kind of like,
that was the code name for the project? It was really The Shy and it was
yeah,
called something else?
yeah, yeah, you
Hey,
know how
tell
they
the
go.
secrets.
Yeah,
Tell
yeah.
the secrets, man. A
That's
lot of times they
know
don't say come to the shy
right.
because that's how you
They got
weed
to keep
people
it
out.
discreet. Yeah, they got to
Yeah.
keep it discreet. So I went in and I'm like, whoa, this is here, this is there. They filming this here. I said, wow. I said,
Okay,
God,
so
how did I
that
get here? And he said, because you asked for it. And I
right.
said, thank you.
So that goes back to the original opening when you talked about walking and getting discovered, and now we're able to tie the two together. What surprised you most about the industry once you got into it?
Everything. Everything surprised me, just from how everything worked to seeing the directors and the crew and the lighting and the setup of everything. Like everything was surprising, even to working with certain directors and producers and to seeing different egos and personalities. And also, just having a humbling experience working with stars of all type of magnitude and to see how humble and grateful these people really are. I think a lot
Mhm.
of people get it misunderstood and they go around and they're like, oh, these people famous. They think they're better than everybody else. But really, they just want to be treated like everybody else. So,
Mm.
yeah, I think,
That statement bugs me. I don't like it when someone says you think you're better than me or you think you're better
mm,
than everybody else. I don't
right,
think anybody thinks thoroughly about that statement. I think it's an assumption.
exactly.
However, when you arrive at a certain level of a lifestyle, your attitude really needs to change.
Right. Yeah.
You can't
You
you
have to be
can't
confident about what you're
y-
doing.
for real,
And
because if
people,
you
I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, you go ahead, you're my
No,
guest.
I would say, yeah, and people mistake that and they think you being cocky, but like, if Michael Jordan went on the court every day and he wasn't like, oh, with the fadeaway. That wouldn't be Mike. Mike wouldn't be the greatest player in the world.
Right.
So, like this is just the stuff that stands out and it comes out like after all of your hard work. But yeah, for me that was a really surprising experience because even in my mind I was a little shy and I was like, I don't want to say nothing to them, but they would end up walking up and talking to me, hey man, how you doing? So that was really
You're
cool.
like that magnet. You're that people
Yeah.
magnet.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
like when I
I
walk in
too
the
have that.
room, when I walk in the room, I feel like it could be dead in there. And once I come in, I know at least 10, 15 different other people that's on the project. Everybody, hey, Ryan. And it's just, the electricity feel like it just kick on, and everybody got a good vibe. Everybody's smiling. Everybody's happy about what they there to do, which is usually the case anyway. But I've noticed that a lot of times where I go and, different sets I work on, I seem to inspire different people, which makes me feel good.
Yeah.
So,
I want you to think about that question even further when I
mhm,
say what surprised you most about the industry once you got
mhm.
in it. Even if you don't, I know you gave us a little bit of a higher level response saying everything. But if you
Yeah.
think about it, I want you
Oh,
to
yeah.
even come back to the chat of this particular interview and put it in there because I
Okay.
want people to understand what they might think and what there is to actually know. The other
So,
thing
I'm,
is,
I'll go,
oh, go
sorry.
ahead. Because
No, I
I
was
was just
gonna
gonna move
say,
on to my next
so
question.
one of the things is, a lot of things that surprised me is you really need to be serious about this. You need to be dedicated. You need to be
So you didn't
committed.
think that before?
No, I thought it, but I'm just telling you what just caught me, because all of this is kind of brand new to me. So all of this
Uh-huh.
is a learning thing for me at this point. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
already committed and dedicated. So I'm like, but what I didn't know is you got to be able to handle 98% of rejection. You're not going to get all your
Mm.
auditions. You're not going
Now
to
we're
book.
talking.
Like I've done like 1,000 auditions and maybe booked like 10. You know what I'm saying? Like solid principal roles on my own, But as far as background, I've done it all, working with different directors or producers. Sometimes you know, you're not in the best mood. They're not in the best mood. You get treated a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a difference between principal and the background, but at the end of the day, we're all humans. You know what I'm saying?
That's
So
right. That's
I
right.
went through a lot of things where I got cursed out. I had to walk in the rain. I had to hold my head high. I
Who
was
cussed you out?
I ain't gonna get into all of that, but like it
One
was
of the
just a
crew members? One of the
no,
crew
no, no, no,
members?
no, no, no. It was a producer at the time, but he was actually just a fill-in for the day. But he didn't see what was going on when I was doing my scene. So like I'm doing a cross down the street, and the main cast one of the main cast members ended up coming out the side of where we were shooting, and they thought she had left already. So as I'm going down the street doing my cross, she like stopped, and I'm like, wait. I'm supposed to be walking. So as I get to where I'm finally supposed to be, he got mad at me. We had a few heated word exchanges, and that was that. But at the end of the day, I had to tell him like, man, I'm a man and you a man, and I'm a human and you a human. So treat me with respect. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Okay, let's unpack that for a
uh-huh.
moment. Now I agree with you, but there you knew a but was coming. Chicago has this attitude of what you just responded with.
Mhm,
Chicago as a collective, it's like you can't say anything to them in the moment. I want
mhm,
people to understand this, okay? I want people to understand that when budgets are on the line and you have to get that shot in that allotted amount of time, it's not just you walking,
mhm.
it is the cameraman being ready and cued. It is the grip guy. It is the gaffer. It is everybody behind all them credits you
Everybody.
see at the end of a movie or a production.
Mhm.
Everybody is working at the same time. And if something hits the fan, it messes it up for everybody that's working at the same time.
Very
And the
true.
pressure is on the director and the producer.
Mhm.
So if they get a little heated, it's
Yeah.
not personal.
No, it's
And
never personal.
I'm gonna tell you something. These the actors in Chicago seem to take it personal,
Mhm.
even in smaller productions, community productions,
Yeah.
equity in productions, and that's
Th-
why Chicago is not on the map
That's true. Too
because
many
of
people get in their feelings
they
about this
get in
type
their
of stuff.
feelings. Let's
Yeah,
talk
this
about
is a
that.
business. This is work. Time is money.
Yeah,
So, and like I was telling you, at the end of the day, I was a little, hurt, but we got the job done, and that's all that mattered. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
finished my
Now, did they
cross.
call you back?
I
Did they call
Oh
you
yeah.
back?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I finished
that's
my
what
cross.
matters.
Actually, this was like my eighth episode out of 10. So I
Yeah,
was, done pretty much. But it was like just one of these scenes, you know what I'm saying? So I was
yeah.
never the type that complained. Even though it was raining, I wasn't crying about the rain. You feel me?
Thank
I'm one of
you.
those type of people that take the pain and I absorb it. And
Yeah,
I still
and
go
that's
do
why
my
you're
job
here.
and hold my head high. I don't
That's
talk to
why you're here.
nobody about it. I don't cry about it. You know what I'm saying? Like when I do
Yeah.
what I do on my own, is because how it made me feel. But at the same time, I feel that it's very important to speak up for yourself. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a difference between doing your job and then people mistreating you. So by the end
Mm-hmm.
of that day, you know, the people went back to the production. They said, "Wow, this is surprising because we had nothing but good things heard about Ryan in every meeting in production." You know,
Yeah.
but it was one of those things where it was like, okay, you had a bad day. I understand. You know what I'm saying? So it's just nothing personal. Things happen. It's raining. We all standing outside in the rain all day. You know what I'm
Everybody.
saying? So yeah, everybody wet. Everybody doing something. So it's like I'm not mad at that person. You know what I'm saying? He's not
Right.
mad at me. And we keep going with life, and that's it. So at the end of the day, I'm grateful for the opportunities that I had. There was a lot of times where I would be on stage, just sitting there, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, why am I here? And
Mm-hmm.
I had to change my perspective. And I'm like, dude, you here because this is what you love to do, number
Yep.
one, and because you're lucky enough that you're here. Number two, number three, you're getting paid to do
You're
nothing.
getting paid.
So, and after all of that, this was before I started taking acting serious. I had to change my mindset. Instead of being ungrateful to, I am fortunate to be here. I am on the path that God wants me to be on. So during that sequence, I met some actual real actors that actually gave me some helpful advice. One of his names is Andre Balos, and he was on set with me, and he would tell me like, "Hey man, I think you got what it takes," and gave me advice of, pointers of where I should go. So I started doing training, and I met somebody, I went to training at Vagabond. I took an on-camera class, and this is what I also want to talk to about people that, want to move further in the industry. You got to be serious.
You gotta.
You got to
Yeah.
put money and time into yourself. It's not even about the money, but you do have to invest into these things. It's not going to come to you for free. And one of the biggest questions I get is like, how do we come up with something that we don't have? You got to be creative. You can't sit back and wait on somebody to give you something or give you an opportunity. The same way you can't sit back in life and expect somebody to just hand you a job or give you some money for free.
Mm-hmm.
So like my first couple opportunities is actually I got my first speaking role. Thank God. It was a woman that I met when I was doing background, and um, she was just there, and she gave me her business card at the end of the day because we had such a great conversation. And I didn't even know. She said, I'm a director, producer, script writer. And she's like, hey, here's my card. We talked 6 months later. She offered me, she said, hey, I got one line speaking role for you if you want it. And I said, I'll take it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
It's
like,
it's those opportunities that matters. Like you dropping
definitely,
gems today. And
definitely.
I would have to ask. I mean, there's some people out there that are in the industry and they
Hmm.
feel stagnant. There's some people that are waiting on their agents to send them those sides so they can do those auditions. I mean,
Yeah.
we got people in Chicago that don't even want to audition for real,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Seriously.
you got, like you said, you do 1,000, you might get 10. And I have created an audition wall. It is ready when I need it. It's
Right. Yeah.
I got to put one in right now, but it's not due till Monday. And you don't want to
Yeah.
wait till the last minute, right? But
Mm-mm.
what if somebody wants to get into the industry?
Mhm.
What should they be doing right now?
Right now, you should be working
Oh,
on
wait, let me interrupt
oh,
you.
go
Do
ahead.
not say follow your dreams, never
No.
give up. Please don't say that. Okay,
Oh no,
next.
I wasn't going there. No. So basically, you should be working on you and your craft. Taking classes, taking training, looking for opportunities. Even if they free, you getting something out of it. IMBD credits are huge. Working with directors who are already experienced is huge. Just to get the experience is huge. So
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's one of the big things. Also, and also going to get headshots, taking classes. All the things that you need to be doing. I've even met actors that went to like Columbia College. I'd be on set and she's like, "Oh, I went to Columbia for 4 to 5 years, but I haven't booked anything." And I'm like, "Well, what kind of footage do you have?" And she'll be like, "Well," or the person will say, "I have no footage." And I'm like, "Well, that's the reason." And
Right.
I'll ask that person, "How come you don't have any footage?" Then well, because I won't take anything unless it's through my agent. See, that's the problem. People sit around and wait for their agents to do all the work. When in
Right.
reality, you have to be really putting in the work for your agent to even notice you. Now, if you're
Do
not
you
even
do you
going,
think that having an agent is a false sense of security?
it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes, at a lot of points, you just have to do what you have to do to build you up. Like before I had an agent, I wasn't necessarily worried about finding an agent. I just knew there was things I had to achieve for myself before I could even put myself before an agent. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
there's things that I have to
Like getting a
accomplish.
lawyer. You don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
just get a lawyer on retainer and you don't really have anything for him to do.
exactly. You don't come to the table empty-handed. Oh, here's my folder with nothing in it, or
Mm.
go to IBM with no resume that says, "Oh, I've been here and this, and that." It's the same way. And I feel like a lot of people they feel like I'm just going to jump here, and it don't happen like that unless you Denzel's son or something like that. You
I
feel me?
know
But
that's
that's
right.
even rare. But yeah, so just and then another thing is you have to be committed. You got to be persistent, and you got to be dedicated. There's a lot of times where I wanted to stop, and I was like, "Look, I'm tired. I've done 50 auditions this month and ain't nothing kicking." But
Right.
like, you can't
How
give
di-
up. You got to keep going.
how difficult is that when you are already so like being dedicated, being consistent, all of those things? How difficult is that when you are already a family man or woman? You already have kids depending on you, already got bills. You're
Mhm.
not 19. How
Right.
difficult is the balancing act to stay
It-
committed and dedicated? And what
mhm.
does it take to be consistent and build relationships to break into or to be consistent in this business?
Well, it take a lot to balance both, but really, somehow it balances out. And for me, I don't know. I feel like it's based on for your work structure or
Mm.
however your drive is. Because me, I'm always looking to do something. So acting isn't a 24/7 gig. Unfortunately, I wish it was.
Mm-hmm.
But I do book enough sometimes where I'm just working, working, working. So when I get home, I'm trying to stay on top of everything. And when I'm not working, I'm working at home or I'm taking care of this, I'm paying my bills. It's extremely difficult sometimes, and you get exhausted. You got laundry to do. Oh, I got to make dinner. I mean, there's
Yeah.
some days I don't eat. And I'm like,
You
dude,
in my
look,
life. Get out of my life, man. Ryan, you peering in, man. You getting too close,
yeah,
too tight.
we in
All
the
right.
same lifestyle, so at least you understand. You feel me? But yeah, a lot
You
of people. Sorry, a lot of people they don't understand. Like you got to sacrifice a lot of stuff. I don't have the regular life a lot of people have. I can't sit up on a Friday night and get drunk all weekend. I have
mm-hmm.
sides to prepare for. I have things that I have to, do and take care of. I can't
Yeah.
go out and party with my friends and things like that. And so there was relationships I've lost. There was things that, and they weren't serving my life any purpose. So at the end of the day, it was all God's higher calling for me and I had to grow. I went through a lot of different transformational points during this period, and none of them led me to leaving acting, and at the end of the day, God always drew me back to what my focus should be on. And so
Yeah.
I'm just grateful for that, and I'm grateful for the people who's given me opportunities, you know. I was fortunate enough to work in another series after I did my first one, which is already on Tubi, and then followed by three more, which is in post production right now, and then two indie
So you
films.
working. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
and two
working.
indie
Now,
films in post production. Now, I also want to say, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I also want to tell people you need to invest in these casting sites. Go on Facebook, go onto the page, Chicago Filmmakers, see whoever casting, something you can get in if it's free, whatever. Even sign up for casting networks. It might cost you $30 a month or Actors Access, but you're giving yourself a chance to see these projects, and these are where most of the commercials and non-union jobs are, and
yeah.
anybody can get in there for a background. I mean, I'm not saying anybody because most of the things that I do now, we all have to have an agent for. But like I'm saying, like really, I've seen people who have no agents, and so that really makes no difference. If you want it, put yourself together, get you headshots put together, get a demo reel, and all of that stuff comes with time, and you have to be easy on yourself about that. If you have nothing to work with, I would suggest going out, make a monologue. A lot of people ask me like, I ain't got nothing to use. Make a monologue. That's what I started out with. So I found something that was easily relatable to my life, or just a show that I enjoyed watching a long time ago, and found a favorite episode and recorded it. And, that right there can get you booked or casted, at least get you in the door for an audition because it's helped me.
Yeah. I want to give people the opportunity because we only have a few more minutes. If you want to give us a
100%.
call, you can dial 312-357-5141. If you want to give us a call and talk live to actor Ryan Banks. And we'll go ahead and drop you into the
Well,
conversation. I wanted to really highlight the importance of, you mentioned that a director, producer, writer gave you her business card,
yeah.
and did you? And hopefully you followed up with her.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
Okay,
definitely followed
so
up with her.
so let's say you followed up with her, and in
Hmm.
my book, that is called building a relationship. How
Yes.
important are relationships versus talent?
Relationships are more important, because that relationship you build with that person is going to carry foundation onto future projects and future recommendations with other people. Um, Even working with director Marcus Carruthers, or Aretha Tatum, who was the lady you just mentioned, who gave me my first start. Um, all these people are wonderful people, and they really are exceptional at what they do. And
Mm-hmm.
so for one, I feel grateful to work with them. Number two, it's like me giving back to my community at the same time. I feel grateful to be a part of something that represents us as a whole. And, relationships are important because you never know who knows who in this industry. And it doesn't mean because they at this level or they're an indie filmmaker, they don't know this person, they won't suggest you to that person, and so, you just always want to give that person their respect, be grateful for what you're doing, and that you're there because it could be somebody else.
I love it. I love it. Well, we definitely want to have aspiring actors call, parents that have creative kids. I know those kids are they something else. Folks that are stuck at the crossroads. If you want to call in, you can talk about what's holding you back from starting, or where are you at this point in your career when it comes to acting. How do you balance a 9 to 5 while chasing a dream? And is it too late to ever pivot? So keep it tight, keep it right. But I do want to ask you a question about your mindset.
Uh,
You've done so many things, and you learned work ethic by doing those things. Because I think some people, because of social media, they roll out of bed and think it's just going to happen for them. They think
yeah.
reading a script and being, because I watched some of my self tapes, and I
Uh,
had to look, I need to take some more acting classes because I look the same when it's like my resting B face,
yeah. Yeah.
my
Yeah.
resting
No, I know
black
what you
face.
mean.
There we go,
Right.
my resting black face. So I have to expand that. I've
Exactly.
and my personal coach
Hmm.
has helped me through a few things, but
Okay.
I do need to express to people that are listening the importance of training, and part of that training is doing those self tapes. That is part
Definitely.
of your training because when you go back and look at them, you see, was that believable? Or
Right.
could I had, done a lot more with it? I've even
Yeah,
started
that's right.
writing these scenes that I
Hmm.
just want to record, and
That's,
I think we
that's
we
good.
recorded one 2 weeks ago, so I'll put it in the chat, the
Okay.
link
I
to
can't
it.
wait to see that.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, guys. So if you
Mhm.
want to take a look at that, it's me and writer, director, Lorenzo T. Hughes. So you'll take
Okay.
a look at
Let's
that. You'll
go.
see that. Yeah. So now what keeps, this is a hard one. You know how you put a post out on social media and you say, sometimes when you announce something like this is me living the dream, and nobody says anything, maybe a couple of likes, right? I
Yeah.
can't believe we're here. I can't believe we're here, but we're here.
Mm.
But the moment you post that someone like Miramax or Fox TV or someone big that
Right.
our community deems as the GOAT is is what your post is about, then they come clapping. Oh wow,
Right.
And then when you try to do something on your own, that you get crickets. You know,
Yeah.
there's no response there. What keeps you going when nobody's clapping?
Me, because I know what I did, and I'm proud of it, and I'm not looking for outside love. I'm um, I'm grateful, and I realize that people clapping for you is good, but it's more important that you clap for yourself, because at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, you are the only one that's going to get you where you want to be. You're the only one that's going to motivate you, and those people don't matter. I mean, they matter, but and it feels good. Don't get me wrong. Everybody want to feel appreciated. And there's
Yeah.
times where I go from, oh, I had 100 likes to just 3, 4, and it's
Right.
like that. Yeah, that don't really bother me. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like I didn't come on here to get everybody's attention. I just wanted to
Right.
make it known. It would be nice if everybody supported everybody. Because that's how it should be. Especially us as local artists, we need to be there for each other. And so yeah, I think you just need to be confident in yourself, and don't let
Mm.
social media overrule your head, because that's another thing that's killing everybody. Is like, oh, they want to compare themselves to everybody else's post on social media. Oh, he got booked for this. Oh, he doing that, or she doing that. But you don't know what that person did. You don't know how long it took that person to get where they at. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, when I was in high school and I went to Buffalo Grove, I took an acting class my senior year, and it was just an elective, just to take some, get it out the way. And it was an improv class, and my acting partner is now the star on Chicago Med. She's the main person. You know what I'm saying?
Nice.
Yeah. So it's
Nice.
like she's literally been acting since that time and
What's her
before. No,
name? What is her name? Shout out to her. What's
Jesse Schramm. Shout out to Jesse Schramm, Dr. Asher on Chicago Med.
That's what's
We
up.
shout out Buffalo Grove High School too. What's up? We in the building. You feel me? But yeah, so it's cool. Like I was working background one day and I saw her and she was like, "Hey, you!" Came up, gave me a huge hug. And I was kind of shy. I was trying to duck her. I'm like, "Oh, I don't want." There she goes. She gonna be like, "Why you trying to copy my swag?" You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't nothing
Yeah.
like that. It ain't never like that. You feel me?
That's
And
right.
yeah, another thing I wanted to say is, like, just to see how humble stars are. Like, um, even working with just all different type of celebrities. When I would go to Center Space sometimes, they taking a picture with the janitor in the bathroom. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, wow, that really shows you that person's character. And they
Yeah.
putting that on Facebook, and stuff like that. So, it just feels good to even know, like, once you reach a certain point, you don't have to change who you are. You know what I'm saying? You could still be that caring person, and still, do whatever you want to do. Part of my mission, I feel like, which is my one of my own goals, is to start a nonprofit one day. And I want to be able to give young Black people, anybody, an opportunity to do what they want to do. Just anybody looking for structure and guidance, have a place to go, come talk to somebody like what we're doing here right now, and somebody to say, hey, man, you can go do theater. You could go be an actor, if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody don't have to rap. If you can learn a
Mm-hmm.
thousand rap
Right.
songs, you can learn how to act. Trust me, and it ain't just about reading and learning the lines, and I feel like this is another misconstrued thing. A lot of people feel like acting like you're just reading the sides, but if you're not
It's what? Oh,
connected,
just reading the sides? Okay,
yeah,
no.
just
No.
learning. They think learning the sides is the hardest part, but that's like 10%, 20% of the work. You know what I'm saying? So you really have a lot more stuff to delve into, And then another thing I learned is, if you're not connected with your singing partner, it's just way weird and off. It's odd. So if you're not listening to the other person talk, or you're not responding in a good way, or even having any kind of emotional effect, that look phony and fake, and I can't say I've never done it in my self tapes. So I'm glad you did say that thing about go back and watch your self tapes, because there's
Mm-hmm.
times I went back. I sent it to my mama the first time I had an audition for Chicago PD last year. She was like, that look fake. I'm like, "Ma,
Mm-hmm.
now why you want to hurt my feelings?" Like, but on some real stuff, I was like, okay, I appreciate your honesty, because I went back, and when I did it, I got better and better and better, and each time, by now, where I'm on my fourth SAG auditions and stuff like that, I've had a lot of growing to do. I've done a lot of growing. So, like you said, self tapes are a part of the work, and they're very important, and which each one you do, you get a little bit better. You get a little bit more experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely, you do. I think, when you look back at the ones that really look good, those are the ones you put to the side. And that's another thing. We have so much data and media that we're not cataloging it.
Oh yeah,
We feel like we'll get back to it later, and then later never comes. So,
right.
my advice to everyone, even though it wasn't asked, is to keep up with your content
Mm,
because if you put it on Facebook, that's not your personal library. It
no,
belongs to them. So you need to have a way to categorize everything on a local from a local standpoint because that's my IT background so that
mm,
you have control of your catalog. Otherwise, when you need it, you're not going to know where it is. I put it somewhere. Is it on
mm.
YouTube? Is it on
That's
Instagram? Is
very
it on
that's
TikTok?
very true.
Woo, that is so frustrating.
And it would
Whenever
drive
somebody
you
says,
through the wall,
it
that
will.
type of
Then you
stuff.
got to,
Like when you got important headshots and videos and self tapes and everything,
yes.
and you lose all of that stuff. I mean, it felt like you lost a part of you. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a smart idea right there.
Well, let me ask you. You've worked with Aretha Tatum. You've worked
Uh,
with Tracy Kincaid. Because I'm mentioning them because they're dear to my heart.
I
You
love
worked with
this.
a lot of Chicago people, and beyond. But
Mhm.
what's next for Ryan Banks?
Ryan Banks' next step is just reaching my highest potential. I can't call it because, like, actually, none of this stuff I plan. I'm just doing this by God's grace. And
Mm,
honestly, he gave me a calling. I kind of like. I don't want to make this fairy tale story sound like a fairy tale, but I had a dream, man. And it's like me and God when I pray, he talks to me, and so I let him guide me where I want to go on my next path. Um, as far as this, I feel like the opportunities are unlimited, and yeah, I feel great about that. I just signed with a new agency, Heyman Talent Agency. So they're based out in Ohio and Kentucky, Indianapolis. And then also I'm gonna be working all the way to West Virginia with some other people. So I try not to look at things where they already complete or filled out. Like, I just leave room in my life. Like my whole life is like a big improv show. So I'm just like waiting on God next. My main thing is I always stay ahead of the game. I try to apply for more gigs and whatever happens, happens and what don't. And I feel like everything happens for a reason. Like even if we don't book the auditions we want to book, that happened for a reason.
well,
One time
yeah.
I did an audition for Chicago PD and it was as a day player, which I really wanted bad.
Mm,
And so afterwards I felt a little bad. And this was when I first started acting. And my actor friends would be like, man, it's just part of the norm. Like you might get
yeah.
1,000 no's before you get one yes. So, I had to learn that everything is not personal, and this is just a part of the game. So
Mm.
yeah,
Well, it's time for me to ask you a random ask question.
let's get
I
it.
mean, it's so random. You ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. What is something people assume about you that is completely wrong?
Hmm. That I'm arrogant, uh, that I have an attitude problem, and probably that I don't want to see other people win. You know, I don't know. I don't know if that last answer was true, but sometimes that's where my mind takes me.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because you feel it. You feel that
yeah,
they're not genuinely or they're not accepting your desire for them to win as genuine.
right. And it's like
Mm.
I feel like a lot of things. Maybe if I posted, even though there's 100 or 115 likes, even in that, it's still some kind of envy. You know what I'm saying? Like
Dang.
I put one up about me just signing with a new agency, and
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the comments, 60 comments, congratulations, congratulations, which felt great. And sometimes we get tired of hearing it, but I'm so grateful I sit there and I take time to respond to everybody because it actually means something to me. You know,
Oh, I got to get better at that.
yeah.
I just
So,
post it and move on, but I got to get
mhm,
better at that because I do look at the collective, but I
mhm.
try to go back and respond, and sometimes I respond 8 years later. I know I was so it was
Yeah,
literally 8 years ago that somebody said
straight up.
something, and I was
Yeah,
and I know they got
I,
a notification like LaDonna
uh,
responded to your comment from
yeah,
8 years ago.
mhm.
Please don't
Yeah.
charge it to my
I
head. I
just
mean, charge it to my
actually
don't charge it to my heart. Yeah.
I just got that way myself because I was like, a lot of people support you. You know, it's not fair to not support them back, but
That's right.
I was always that type of person. So I had to get to the point where I'm like, I don't want people to also feel like, well, they supported me, but he don't never say nothing back, you know? So even
Ah,
though my
yeah.
life is really, really hectic and busy, I do stop at midnight to go through y'all stuff or whatever I have a chance to while I'm driving, pausing on DoorDash,
Wait, wait,
congratulations,
wait. Oh, I was
congratulations.
gonna say, wait, you driving and responding? Hold up.
Yeah,
Hold
no,
up.
when I'm off the road, when I'm on the road,
Yeah,
I'm not looking at
sure.
Facebook. I'm not worried about acting. I'm not doing none of that, unless it's
Mm-hmm.
my email. That might be the only thing I check on the side of the road when I go to get gas or something,
Yeah.
because
You're overly explaining. Now it's
yeah,
all a lie.
you
Well,
funny.
you be safe out there. But
All right, you
I'm
too.
glad you told
Thank
us
you,
what's
sir.
next for you. I'm glad
Mhm.
you explained to us how what to expect, what myths there were, what
Mhm.
the expectations were, what your experience has been. Final words for dreamers that are listening.
You can do anything you put your mind to. The sky is the
Ah,
limit, like my
nope,
grandma told me.
nope. Been said. Come up with something else.
All right. Well, if you really want something, work hard for it and don't stop going for it. Stay consistent, stay persistent, stay committed. And it don't matter what you're doing. You don't have to be an actor. You don't have to be like the next person. Just be you. Be grateful for every day that you wake up, and that's enough.
Now we're talking. I
Yeah.
want to thank you, Ryan, for being a special guest on the LaDonna Rae Show. It
Thank
has
you.
been an
Oh,
honor
thank
to
you.
have you at this point in your career. I wish you the best. We all do. And even though y'all were chicken about calling in, don't call in after this has been broadcast because the lines will be closed. In fact, I'm closing them right now. Okay. But thank you for the comments that you guys put out there. And thank you so much,
Appreciate
Ryan
it.
Banks, for being a
Thank you
host.
for
I mean,
having me,
I was gonna
Ladonna.
say being a host on the show, but I'm sorry, that's me. Thank you
Correct.
for being a special guest on the show.
Anytime, anytime. Thank you
Of
for having
course.
me. I appreciate you so much. And it's a pleasure to always work with you and I always see you in person. So thank you again. And I hope you stay warm out there today.
Oh, I thank you. Now tell people where to reach you because I know you got some social media out there.
Yeah, I'm on Facebook. Look me up on Facebook at Ryan Banks. Instagram, my Instagram tag is rbanks514.
Hmm.
And yeah, just link up with me. Hit me up in the messages in the inbox. I do respond. And if you're looking for resources or a place to go for training or, on camera workouts or even where to go self tape, I can give you a little advice.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We
I'll
got
be
plugs
hitting
over
you up.
here. We got the
Yeah,
plug over here.
that means I'll be hitting you up. All right. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
Have
Thank
the
you. I
have the
appreciate your
best
time.
day.
All
Of
right. Happy
course.
holidays to you and your family.
Same to you.
All right. Gratitude. Thank
All
you.
right. Well, as you know, we just got through talking to a big deal. Anytime somebody's from Chicago, we are super, super happy to have them on the LaDonna Rae Show. This is what it's all about. First of all, remember that purpose moves when you do. That's a big one. I want you to remember it. Don't ever give up. Some people have this whole FOMO thing going on, fear of missing out. Well, guess what? What a friend of mine told me 25 years ago and to the day just about, what God has for you is for you. So you're not going to miss out. What you are going to do, you better have fear of messing up when you get that opportunity. All right, guys, you know where to catch me. I'm on WVON 1690 Monday through Friday, or no, Thursday, sorry, Monday through Thursday and on Saturday. But on this podcast, the LaDonna Rae Show, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you comment, and make sure you like it because we want all of you to be able to share the information that's within the podcast. That's it. That's all I got. I'm LaDonna Rae, and I'm signing off. Bye-bye for now.
The one and only sexy mama, LaDonna Rae.